How is everybody doing today? Today I'm going to rank all 18 new released horror films that I saw in the month of February. And I have to say, there's some bangers and there's some not so bangers. We're going to get into this and just know that I'm trying to find diamonds in the rough so that you don't have to take the time to do so yourselves. Because I really enjoy doing that. I love watching a lot of indie films, a lot of, hidden gems. I love finding those. So without further ado, let's get into the ranking. Coming in at number 18 is a little Irish movie called The Morrigan. What this movie is about is an Irish folktale, of course, about a war goddess named the Morrigan. An archaeologist finds this tomb, opens it, and unleashes, this primordial force that takes over her daughter. Now, through the tale of this movie, there's some god-awful people in this film. I just really didn't feel this movie, and it has nothing to do with the actual story, because I think that if the story was told in a better way, this would have been a very, very great story to tell. But I think that some of the effects, they did try to use like puppets on some of the effects, some practical effects, and doesn't look great. This is one of those movies that has almost good enough production value for me to really, for me to continue watching it. That's why I continue watching it, is it did have just that little bit extra production value that's a lot of indie movies don't get. But it just wasn't quite up to snuff for what I'm looking for, even out of indie films. There's so many indie films that come out nowadays that just are up to snuff, that whenever they're just not quite there, I should have turned this movie off, and it shouldn't have even been in the listing or in the rankings, but this was my one, my one of like the 10 that I ended up not even, not finishing, that were just terrible, god-awful films. This one had just enough quality to it to make me continue watching, but not enough quality to it for me to be impressed. Coming in at number 17 is Twisted. What this movie is about is a con artist who, she goes in to rental homes and then rents them out herself and to other people, and runs a scam basically. It's how her and her partner make money, and she runs a scam on the wrong person, who's a doctor, a neurologist, and the doctor has some dark stuff going on, and it gets a little weird. Now, this yet again another movie that has a couple of actors that I recognize out of different things. The doctor, I believe, is from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. He's been in a bunch of other stuff as well. I've seen him in many, not as a lead role or anything, but I have seen him in stuff. So there is some quality here. This is another one that's just, the story just is kind of ridiculous. So I wasn't really feeling it, but the quality is almost there to where it's almost good enough to be watchable. But this should have been another movie that I turned off and didn't finish. Coming in at number 16 is The Haunted Forest. This is about a guy who is in love with the dark and mysterious, and goes to work for a not really, I don't want to say haunted house, a haunted attraction that his cousin does puts together every single year. And then people at this haunted attraction where, he's a scare actor at this haunted attraction, but people actually start dying, and it becomes this whole thing. And it's It's a pretty fun movie. The quality is decent. It's decent enough to be watchable. This is one of those that if you've got a little extra time and don't have anything else to watch, maybe you give it a little bit of a chance and have some fun with it. It's not a great movie, but it is a fun little movie. All right, coming in at number 15 is Diabolic. This is one that I actually, whenever I saw the trailers for it, I had a little bit of hope for it. And it does deliver a few times with some interesting imagery. But what this movie is about is a girl that used to be part of an off branch of the Mormons that actually practices polygamy. She got away, but she lost her memory. But it seems like she's possessed by an evil spirit. She keeps like blacking out and having violent episodes. And they go to confront some of these people and kind of try to figure out about her past and maybe what's going on with her and try to fix it. And there's a couple of points that happen that are pretty interesting, visually interesting, and a couple of freaky points. But a lot of this movie is just it's kind of dumb, and people making really bad decisions and being really stupid. I don't know. I enjoyed a few moments of this movie, but overall, I did not enjoy this movie. Coming in at number 14, we have an Indonesian film, and I'm going to try to pronounce this, and it's probably not going to be right. I apologize. But it is Jembatan, Shiratal, Mustaqim. I believe that's the title. But what this movie is about is this man is part of the main political party in Indonesia, and I believe, if I remember correctly, like a hurricane or something happened that wiped out basically a village, and they were supposed to be getting funding to go and like help these people and like try to find people that are still alive, get people out of there. But him and his party like embezzled a lot of the money and didn't actually go help these people. And then he wants to fix it, make amends, and him and his son go, and they get in a car wreck, and the man ends up dying. And his son, he starts haunting his son. He's trying to like push his son to like figure it out. But what this movie comes across as, and you know, even I like, it's actually pretty good at parts. It's got some freaky imagery, but then it's got some really bad like CG sometimes. But a lot of that is excusable. What's not excusable is this feels like I will say that it has extreme religious undertones, and what it comes across as by the end of the movie is just a religious propaganda piece, being like, be a good person or go to hell. That's basically what this entire movie boils down to. It was a fun watch. It's actually a pretty good movie. It's just down this far on the list because it just feels like a big propaganda piece. Coming in at number 13 is Dracula. The new Dracula movie. I actually really, really enjoyed the first half of this movie, and then it just kind of gets a little goofy, you know, the way that the characters interact with each other. But I absolutely love the actors. And the guy that plays Dracula, fantastic acting. Absolutely fucking love the acting in this movie. Now, a lot of the other stuff going on in this movie is really goofy. At first, whenever I heard a bunch of people talking about the gargoyles. At first, when I saw the gargoyles, I was like, oh, they're actually kind of cute. No problems with the gargoyles. But they're there too fucking much. And then the final confrontation at the end of the movie is just ridiculous. And yeah, this movie could have been so much better. All right, coming in at number 12 is a movie out of India. This is a Tollywood movie. And what Tollywood is it's movies in India shot in the Telugu language. It's also in the Bollywood, I believe is in like New Delhi, but Tollywood is in a different part of India. And India has a vast array of languages, so there's they have multiple different film industries there, which is it's actually pretty crazy. But yes, this is a Tollywood movie about it's about a guy. His grandmother's sick and he needs to go find his grandfather, and his grandfather ends up being evil. And they go to this, him and his friends go to this haunted house. And listen, this movie is absolutely unhinged. And it would be I think if this movie was shorter and it didn't have as much just random shit going on in the movie, it's almost like watching an entire season of a show put into a movie. Now the movie's only like 2 hours long, but just these small little storylines that build up to the end of the movie, it feels like I just watched like an entire season of TV, and it just drags on and on and on. And then like every time they're about to do an action scene, it goes into like somebody doing a slow-mo like badass walk into the room, like the music's fantastic, the acting's great, the characters are great, the costumes are great, the effects are fun and feel very like Haunted Mansion Disney-esque, like old school Haunted Mansion Disney. Like it's just everything about this movie I actually love, except for the fact that it's too long, and sometimes it goes off on these random side missions that don't even matter. And then there's like a love triangle for no reason, and yeah. But anyway, Raja Saab is the name of the movie. I don't know if I actually said the name of the movie. Raja Saab is the name of the movie. I do encourage people to go and check this movie out. And I think some people will absolutely love this movie, and some people will just be like, what the fuck did I just watch? Anyway, coming in at number 11 is Whistle. This is about a group of kids that find an ancient, I believe it's Aztec whistle. This one, whenever somebody blows in it, if you hear it, the way that you are supposed to die in the future comes to get you. And it's a pretty cool, interesting concept. It's very Final Destination in some ways. You basically summon your death, but it's how you would have died, which is a very cool concept. I really like that. And then some of the ways like the people die is really cool. Now I get, if people don't enjoy, the CGI kill effects and stuff like that, I do understand. But in a movie like this where people are supposed to die and these, they're just standing there, and what happens to their body in the future happens to them at that moment. They kind of have, I guess they don't have to use CGI, but it probably saved them a bunch of money using CGI. That would be awesome. I would actually love to see what this would look like if somebody used practical effects to do it. I would love to see a Whistle 2 as well, just to kind of see where the franchise could possibly go and like what kind of interesting kills we could get. I mean, that's basically what Final Destination is at this point, is just getting interesting kills. And that's what I would want out of a Whistle franchise as well. Coming in at number 10 is The Dreadful. This has 2 Game of Thrones characters in it, Jon Snow and Sansa Stark. But what this movie is about is a woman and her daughter-in-law are trying to basically make it in the world. The son of the mother and the husband of the daughter-in-law, has gone off to war. And now there's nobody basically to make ends meet in the house. So unbeknownst to the daughter-in-law, ridiculously enough, the mother-in-law goes and kills people and takes their shit. And then a friend, the best friend of the husband that's at war, comes back and tells them that he has died in battle and wants to be with the daughter-in-law now. But people keep dying, and then later on there's like a supernatural thing that happens. So this movie is beautiful, well acted. The storyline up to the parts where the supernatural stuff happens is actually really well done, except that the movie is just dreadfully boring. It isn't my cup of tea. I think some people will really enjoy it, but I do think the ending of this movie is really dumb. I wish they would have not put any supernatural stuff in this. I wish it would have just been, people being people and dealt with it that way. I did not like the supernatural aspect of this film. Coming in at number 9 is Sweetness. This is about a young girl. She goes to see her favorite musician and gets to meet him, and a bunch of stuff happens where he ends up at her house very heavily on drugs. She decides that he's ruining his life and knocks him out, chains him up, and is going to try to make him get sober. And from there, a bunch of really messed up shit starts happening. And this movie is trying to be reminiscent, I think, of Misery, but I think it's very, very uncomfortable to watch. I have it this high because everything about this movie just screams quality. The movie has been underrepresented for what it actually brings to the table as far as quality goes. Now, the argument can be made, and I'm probably going to make the argument that it's too much. It's too much dealing with the young girl and, an adult male. And it's not from his point of view, it's from her point of view. And it's very uncomfortable. Now, the actress playing this character plays a fantastic psychopath. She should definitely get more roles. Definitely a star in the making as far as playing this villainous character. And that's very well done. A lot of this movie is very well done. It's an extremely high quality film for being a more indie type low budget film. Coming in at number 8 is Psycho Killer. This movie I had extremely high hopes for because I absolutely love the movie Seven, and I'm sure a lot of people do. And I wasn't completely disappointed. Now, there are people that are like completely shitting on this movie. I don't agree with that. The killer in this film is one of the best villains that I've seen in a very long time. So basically you have this badass villain stuck in a very mediocre movie. Everything else, anytime that the killer is on scene for the most part, is fantastic. Now, motivations. Killer motivation is fucking stupid. The motivation's fucking stupid. I don't know why they chose to go with the story that they did at the end of this film, but it's fucking dumb. Should never have happened. Coming in at number 7, and this is where we're getting to the movies that I pretty much just enjoyed them. There's a few like hit or misses within the film that I can overlook, but from number 7 to number 1, I actually enjoyed all of these movies, like almost completely. But number 7 is Obex. What this is about is a guy that is pretty much afraid to leave his home. This is based, I believe, in the 80s, if I remember correctly. It's actually a very specific year, but Obex takes place in a very specific year. It takes place in 1987, because it's when cicadas have come back for that year. They actually filmed this during the last time the cicadas were here a couple years back. I don't remember exactly when that was, but this movie takes place in 1987, pre-internet. So he doesn't leave his house. Everything he does is on a computer. He loves to play video games on the computer, and his work is done on the computer, and of course it's all mailed out and stuff like that. But he sends in, there's a new game coming out that like is supposed to put him into the game, and he sends off audio and video and pictures of him, and like they send him back a game, and it's this really stupid, like shitty game. But then he basically gets transported into this world of Obex, and it becomes this grand adventure. The movie's all shot in black and white. It's a really, really fun movie. If you're a gamer, if you're an older gamer especially, and you have nostalgia for like those old, I'm almost 40 years old. If you have nostalgia for some of those, I was 1 year old when this movie was taking place. But if you have nostalgia for that, I think you'll really enjoy this movie. And for an indie film, the acting's actually pretty good. The story is very well paced and well thought out. Love the characters. Love the story. All right, coming in at number 6 is Honey Bunch. This movie is kind of wild. Is when you start. I started understanding what was going on. Well, at least I thought I'd understood what was going on. Not too far into the movie, but I wasn't 100% sure. And then, yes, I was right about my assumptions on what was going on. But this is a movie. A woman had an accident, and her husband, and she doesn't have a lot of her memories. So her husband is taking her to this facility to help her get her memories back. And a lot of really strange stuff starts happening, and you don't know who to trust and who not to trust. And by the end of this film, you're going to be questioning, like, who was actually good, who was evil, was there anybody good even in this film? Who knows? We don't. A lot of it is based around desire and grief, and doing things based on that desire and grief. That's what this movie is about. Coming in at number 5 is, I believe this is an Argentinian film, but it is Crazy Old Lady. This is about a woman that is developed Alzheimer's, has dementia, or is developing dementia, but she had a really rough past with one of her ex-lovers, a very rough past. And as she's going through this dementia, her daughter sends a friend of hers to go look after her mom and check up on her. And she starts thinking that he is her ex from her past. It gets very, very dark. Now, do I like the fact that they took a concept of, an older woman with dementia and made her into a psycho killer, and even called the movie Crazy Old Lady? Not so much. But I get it, and I really did enjoy the film. It's pretty wild and wicked. A lot of really fucked up shit going on in this movie, and the ending is man, like this is the second Argentinian film that I've watched, and both of them. The last one was When Evil Lurks, which is a very fucked up film as well, and I really love that film too. So I think we're going to continue getting really fucked up movies out of Argentina, and I'm okay with that. It's all right. I'm okay with that. Coming in at number 4 is a Korean film known as Ghost Train. This is an anthology film told from somebody that works at the train station. This young girl who is a YouTube, or basically a YouTube influencer, goes to this, and all of her content was on, like, she would go to like spooky, mysterious places and tell people about the area and like stories that happen there and stuff of that nature. It was all like horror adjacent, and she's going to this train station and talking to this guy, and she keeps bringing him booze each time, and each time she comes, he tells her a new story. Most of the stories in this are really good. I actually didn't like the ending stuff that happens, but besides that, all the other stories are actually pretty good. Most of the effects are pretty fun and good. The only part of this movie that I just really did not like was each time she goes back to him, between each time she gets a story from him, there's like some pretty decent time skip in between, not like years or anything like that, but decent time skips, as because she's making content off of each story that he tells her, and she's getting bigger and bigger and more influential, and it kind of just makes, there's a point where you're just supposed to assume that all this stuff happened outside of this guy telling her these stories, and it's a little jarring because it kind of hits you out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, and I had to like be like, okay, that's what's going on, get my mind turned back. But other than that, this is a fantastic anthology movie. There's one with acid that I really, really liked. And it's not scary so much as it's just very uncomfortable, and made my skin crawl while it's happening, because it's so uncomfortable watching it. For me, at least. I don't know if it will be for y'all, but it was for me. Coming in at number 3, and this is my true diamond in the rough, hidden gem movie right here. Fucking love this movie. But number 3 is Redux Redux. And this is such a good film. I fucking love this movie. And I even considered putting it higher on this list, but in terms of, looking at something objectively and talking about, the quality and the content that's in the movie, this was almost at the number 2 spot. It's very close. It was very close. So take that as you will. But what this movie is about is a woman has a machine that allows her to travel to different dimensions. This is not time travel. All right. So she can travel to adjacent Earths. As far as she's aware, her Earth is the only one that has developed this technology. But what she is doing is on her planet, her daughter was murdered by a serial killer. She is going to every planet trying to find her daughter, but her daughter has been murdered so far in every planet that she's gone to. So she's killing the serial killer while she's there. That's it. And then she finds a companion along the way, It's a great story, but this is just a tale of revenge through dimensions, and it's fucking badass. Coming in at number 2 is Cold Storage. This is a zombie movie, and it's wacky, wild, and ridiculous. So this is basically how people are infected is with plants, just like we have plants in real life now that infect insects and make them basically crawl to great heights, and then the spores explode and get sent out from there. That is what is happening to humans in this movie, and it's wacky, wild, ridiculous. The storyline is off the walls. The characters are fantastic. The setting is great in this giant storage facility where that used to be an old military base where this thing was stored at the bottom of this storage facility, and it's just everything about this movie is just ridiculous. The only issue I had with this movie is they played it too safe. They played it too goddamn safe. They should have gone full on ridiculous with it. I wanted to see more of the zombies acting like the zombies, because that was there's one point of where this guy's infected, one of the first human infected. He's walking around the storage facility, and like the things he's saying and doing are just so fun to watch. They're disgusting, ridiculous, but they're so fun to watch. Where he's like, "Let me throw up in your mouth." And, yeah, it's great. And coming in at number 1 for the month of February, you already know what it is, and most of you don't agree, and that's fine with me. But that is Scream 7. Listen, a lot of you are just wrong. Scream 7 is now my absolute favorite Scream movie. It is what it is, bro. Like, so many of you hated this movie before it even released, so it's hard to trust what most of you have to say. I don't think that people should be fired for saying, stop killing people. I don't think that should have happened. Melissa Barrera shouldn't have been fired. Sorry. She shouldn't have been, but that's not going to stop me from watching movies that I want to see. If let me put it to you this way. If I had to boycott everything produced by shitty people, by pieces of shit, if I had to boycott everything produced by pieces of shit, garbage human beings, I wouldn't have shit. You wouldn't have shit. I wouldn't have shit. Most of these motherfuckers that are the top people producing all of the shit that we use, we eat, and we go and see, all of them, almost all of them, are garbage, piece of shit human beings. There's nothing we can do about that. So I'm still just going to go and see and do what I want to do. And I love Scream 7. But I get where, in some ways, people were a little bit irritated with this movie. It is a little more going back to being, a little more campy. But I liked that. I liked the killer. I love the killer. I almost spoiled it. Not going to do that. But I like the killer, the main killer. I like Tatum. I think that she's going to be a fantastic new protagonist in the film, in this franchise. I liked all of the kills in this movie. All of the kills were fucking brutal and awesome. Yeah, I get that a lot of you didn't like the CGI on the one fucking kill. I don't care. It was still a badass kill, especially when you hear the motivations behind the kill. The opening sequence to this movie is one of the best in the franchise. I don't know. I fucking love Scream 7. Best Scream movie in my opinion. Anyway, that is my list for the month of February. If you liked this video, which I'm sure a lot of you did not, and that's okay. If you did, though, please leave a like and subscribe. If you did not like this video, that's okay too, man. Anyway, y'all have a good night, and I'll see you next time.